Open your mind to something new.
The Damned Podcast. Let go of what anchors you and cut loose into the deep with your host, Daniel Updike.
And welcome to the TDP videocasts. And of course, if you're looking for us online, you can find us quite easily. Basically, our website is up above me. You can go there. That's our main hub. That's where you can see everything that we've got for you, for the public. And also below, I've got the custom link for our YouTube channel that you can go to. And of course, you can subscribe there. And that's something that I encourage you to do, as that's something that gives you an edge up on the new content that we have available for you. Now, we're talking today about the Vegvisir. Now, a lot of people have looked at this and thought that this was a very powerful Norse symbol that was a protection against getting lost. And of course, this sort of fits in with the way people view the Vikings, because of course, not only the Vikings, the people of the northern European tribes in general were great explorers. They would go boldly to places that nobody had ever been. They would find things that nobody had ever found. And they would go out there bravely and do this, even though there was great risk and great danger. And so, of course, a symbol like this comes into play. However, there are some things I want to point out about this, and I want to also talk about why it has worked for many people. Now, some of you may disagree with what I'm about to say, but I'm going to go into this a little bit so that you have an idea of what's going on. Now, you're going to see things go sort of like warp drive for just a second while I get this all transitioned over for you. And, okay, you're seeing this here. I've got to close this window out so that you can see what I want you to see. Okay, that is this, the Vegvisir. That's the symbol right here. You can see my cursor there, I'm sure. And, of course, as we're looking at this, we realize that it comes from something called the Hold Manuscript. And the Hold Manuscript was compiled around the 19th century. Okay, and that's about 8 centuries after the Viking Age. And while some of it may date from the time of the pre-Christian Norse religion, when it was still part of a living tradition, much of it is heavily influenced by Christianity and the magical practices imported from the southern parts of Europe. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not legitimate. However, there is no evidence that it was known or used in the Viking Age. Okay? And I know this is a disappointment to some. There is a statement here made at the beginning of this article. It has one sentence written about it in the Hold Manuscript. That's it. And that, of course, was discovered, if you look in the footnotes of this, by Edward Thorson, who goes by the name of Stephen Flowers. That's his real name. And, so this symbol, although it fits in with the symbolism that was used magically and philosophically by many people in the Viking Age, if you want to call it that, and I hope you were able to see that, it's not something that was in evidence anyway that we know used or even thought of by the Northern European peoples during the Viking Age or before. And, one of the reasons I think why it gained such easy acceptance by many is because it is very close, and in fact it is a form of something called the Eyjammer, which means the eye of the dragon. Now, that is a particular symbol that has actually even survived into our day. It's been metamorphosized a lot. If you've ever taken a look at some of the hex signs of the Pennsylvania Dutch in the United States, you'll see how this concept of the Ayashammer, the Eye of the Dragon, survived even many of the different changes that happened through the centuries to our present day. And the way they charged it, I believe, the Pennsylvania hex signs, yeah, that's what I'm talking about there. The way they charged those is the same methodology used to charge the Eye of the Dragon. Now, the symbol of the Vegvisir, don't have it in front of me. My tongue is tripping over me today, but you know what I mean. That thing has actually a very strong connection to those types of symbols, and it's very, very much an eye catcher, and there's a correspondence that's put in there in the mind of a person. Now, how does something like this work? Well, you say it's not even necessarily something that comes from ancient times. Why would it work? Well, to broach this subject, you need to understand a little bit about how magic in general works. And this is true no matter what tradition it is, if any, okay? You've heard me talk on many shows in the past about egregores. Egregores are sort of like artificial spirits that are in the process of or have already taken on a life of their own due to the devotion of many followers. Okay, we can find this in many religious instances. Okay, magically, however, this is not a process that is restricted just to religious icons. This is something that happens with symbols, it happens with sigils, it happens with groups of people that have come together. There's a group personality that happens if people have been around each other in a group for long enough. Okay? This is an aspect of how magic actually works because it's just the flow of the vibrations of everything that exists and are ethereal working towards the manifestation of whatever has given it the strongest impression. Okay, so you can find that a symbol like the Norse Compass is absolutely something that would work. Just don't say that it's something from antiquity. And realize that this is not something that becomes just meaningless, unverified personal gnosis, like many people in the heathen community just despise. You got to have some of that, otherwise you have no life. But anybody that has created a bind rune, which is a series of runes and a magical operation that are put together into a single symbol, that's what a bind rune is, are doing the exact same thing and doing it effectively that whoever it was that originally created the Norse Compass, or the Vegvisir, did. And it is effective, and it is powerful. And everyone from the time of antiquity to this present day that works with the runes and has made bind runes has done the same thing too. All of it is due to the connection and understanding that the practitioner has with the forces they are dealing with. So is the Norse Compass an invalid symbol? Absolutely not. It certainly can be very valid. It's just not something that you'll find from 5,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago or 800 years ago. You'll find it from about the 19th century on. But that's okay. Every bind rune is the same thing. The Eye of the Dragon itself, the Ayashammer, could be made for many different purposes. And they are the same thing. Something that was created by somebody or a group of people that understood their connection to themselves and to the forces they were working with. So think about that for a little while. I know I'm going to be getting to people's questions as I look through things. Of course, as you know, when I'm on Facebook, I'm unable to see the comments, but I do have one little thing that I can say. Something got fixed with my computer. And now when we're doing live broadcasts on YouTube, I can see your comments and I can talk to you. So that's just awesome for you to note. But when it comes to our subject matter tonight, this is not something to be overly worried about. What the Norse Compass or the Vegvisir is something that was created in the classification of the Eye of the Dragon or the Eye of Yammer. And as long as you are using it with the purpose that it is aligned with, it's perfectly fine. It's just not something from antiquity. So I hope this helps to answer the question. I know a viewer asked this on Facebook, and I wanted to address this. And, of course, you can take a look at some of the things that are written there as well, taking a look at the Hold Manuscript. There's a lot of interesting things there. And just because there was an importation of some things from other parts of the world into some of these works that were written after the Christian conversion period doesn't mean that they're ineffective. All right, it's a sign of the adaptation and the survival of something that was very deep, arcane, and rooted in the consciousness of people in spite of a horrific repression that was placed against them. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. And I hope that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, encourage people to join our Facebook group here. And we're going to be doing some new and exciting things coming up very soon as well. I think in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be excited about what we do. I'm Daniel, the host of the TDP Videocasts. Until next time.